Good evening. I'm just going to try to share as briefly as I can with you my thoughts on life, death, faith. Where do we know what God is saying about a situation and where it has to do with faith? Some of us have struggled with the loss of a loved one, and till now we haven't gotten the answers as to why they passed on. Some of us are struggling with illnesses, sicknesses, or somebody who is really not doing fine, and you just have questions. People are going, God, if you knew you are going to take him away from me, why would you give him to me in the first place? And all that, and all that. And this is what Nabil's wife, for those of you that knew him while he was still alive, he passed on at a very young age of, I think, 33, 34, thereabout. He had stomach cancer. This is what his wife had to say, his widow had to say about him. I was watching a couple of videos and I saw this and it really, really touched me because I'm somebody that usually ponders on all these things. So this is what she had to say. I just wrote it down, so I'm just going to read it out to you from my jotter. He said, because I see now that God knew when he said, I want you with Nabil, that 10 years later, Nabil will be taken and I will be left. But this was part of God's plan all along. When I think about my time with Nabil and all that, she said it was God's plan I be Nabil's wife, knowing that it was just going to be for a short time. I consider it a privilege to have been chosen to live by Nabil's message for the season of time I was called to be his wife. This kind of touched me. And I went on to watch a video that they did together, where he said he looked visibly shaking. Like you could tell he was down at that point emotionally and all that, and he was just trying to be strong. And he said something. He said sometimes whenever he felt down, he would go to his wife and she would encourage him and he would say, do you think I will get out of this? And she said, I believe you would. And I was here saying, and he never did. He died actually. He died, and then it led me to made me remember a conversation I had with my younger sister at some point, not a very far time from now. I told her in camp sometimes I feel scared. What if I don't get better? At the time I wasn't so strong. This is very personal. I don't want anybody coming to ask me questions and all that. And I told her, what if I don't get better? What if this is just like that? And then she said something, she said, you just have to trust God. I say, yeah, I told her if it's that it's probably going to be death and all, we just have to trust God. Sometimes we don't understand what God does. We don't understand why He does some things. We don't understand why He takes people away from us. But I think we just have to trust God. And she said something very profound in the end. She said, I trusted God then and I still trust Him now. So sometimes when we pray, for people to get healed, it's good we pray, it's good for us to have faith. But sometimes we need to know what God's will is pertaining that thing you get. We need to know what His will is. Like, what is God saying about this situation? Now, for those of you that still lost feeling, God, if you knew this was going to happen, why would you let me go through it? She acknowledged something. She said, for the time being, he was here on earth, and for the time being, they were married. She was meant to be his wife. So that purpose must have been achieved. Whatever God had in stock for him would have been achieved with her being his wife and also in her own life. So, no matter how short a time is with somebody may seem, we should understand that God has a plan and we should just go by it. Something I've learned today is that we shouldn't always worry about where something is headed, whether it's a relationship or not. It could just be for a short time. It could just be for a short time. God wants to achieve something in the life of either you or that person. So, what am I trying to say? I think I'm saying a lot of things. What I'm trying to say is that there's always a reason for some things. If you're scared for your life, if you're not sure of certain things, just pray about it and trust God. Basically, just trust God. That's what I'm going to say. And this video was too long. I hope you got to this point, and I hope you learned that some things just happen for a reason. And sometimes you're just in a person's life for a season, whether it ends in life or it ends in death. Just know that God's purpose must have been achieved, and there is always a purpose for something. So if you lost a loved one, just know that probably you are there to just lead the person to Christ or something. It just has to be something. God doesn't sleep, He knows what He's doing, you know. He said something very profound. He said he was strengthened by her words. So what if Nabil had a wife that wasn't so supportive, to him, sorry, but she was there for him, she encouraged him, even though he died. I don't know really, even though he died, but she was there for the time being. I'm sure for the time he was alive, you know, he felt he felt encouraged and he was good. So sometimes when you battle with your life or with your health and you're not sure where it's headed, I think you just have to trust God. That's what I do. I trust God. Sometimes it's difficult, but we have to learn how to trust God in relationships. We have to learn how to trust God in whatever circumstances, whatever it is at all. So I hope you learned from my video and I hope you got to this point, and I don't know. God bless you. It's Princess.